It's Huckleberry, Huckleberry, Huckleberry Finn. Huckleberry, Huckleberry, Huckleberry Finn. Getting into trouble as if trouble were his friend. It's Huckleberry, Huckleberry, Huckleberry Finn.
Well, after we left the Grangerfords and escaped all that terrible feuding, we just floated along, free and comfortable. And the days slid so quiet and smooth and lovely. It was a monstrous big river down there, sometimes 1.5 miles wide. We run nights and laid up and hid daytimes, so's nobody would spot Jim and take him for a runaway slave. We fished and swum a lot and kept a good eye on the river, watching the daylight come. Not a sound anywheres. Perfectly still. Just like the whole world was asleep. Only sometimes the bullfrogs are cluttering maybe. So we'd put in the day lazing around, listening to the stillness. At night, we just floated along, sometimes with that whole river all to ourselves for the longest time. Gee, it's lovely to live on a raft. We had the sky up there, all speckled with stars. Boy, Jim, just look at those stars. There must be a zillion of them.
There sure is a lot of them, Huck.
Do you suppose they was made, Jim, or only just happened?
I don't know, Huck. I reckon they was made.
I bet they just happened. Why, it would have took too long to make so many.
Well, the moon could have laid them, maybe.
Well, I guess that's reasonable, Jim. I've seen a frog lay most as many. So, of course, it could be done.
Look at that one fall, Huck. Streaking down the sky.
Wow. What do you suppose makes them fall like that, Jim?
I allow they got spoiled and was hove out of the nest.
Once or twice a night, we'd see a steamboat slipping along in the dark. And now and then she'd belch a whole world of sparks up out of her chimblies. And they would rain down in the river and look awful pretty. One morning about daybreak, I took the canoe along the river, looking for some berries. I paddled a little ways up a creek amongst some cypress woods, when all of a sudden, here comes a couple of men tearing up the path alongside the creek. I thought I was a goner, for whenever anybody was after somebody else, I judged it was me, or maybe Jim.
Oh, save us! Don't let them catch us!
We didn't do anything. Help us! They've got dogs a-coming.
Won't you help us, boy? Let us get in your canoe.
Go up along the edge of the creek a ways, then wade down to me and get in. That'll throw the dogs off the scent. They done it, and when they come aboard, we lit out for the river and hid in the cottonwoods where Jim and me was camped. One of these fellas was about 70 or upwards and had a bald head and very gray whiskers. He had an old battered-up slouch hat on and a greasy blue woolen shirt, ragged old breeches stuffed into his boot tops. The other fellow was about 30 and dressed about as ornery. After breakfast, we all laid off and talked. And the first thing that come out was that these chaps didn't know one another.
What got you into trouble?
Well, I've been selling an article to take the tartar off the teeth. And it does take it off, too. But generally, the enamel comes right along with it. Yeah, I was sliding out of town when I ran across you on the trail. And you told me they were coming after you. So, expecting trouble, I decided to scatter out with you. Now, that's my story. What's yours?
Well, I've been running a little temperance revival there about for a week, making it mighty warm for them would like their jugs, and taking as much as $5 or $6 a night, 10 cents a head, children and slaves free, business a-growing all the time. And somehow or other, a story got around last night that I had a way of putting in my time with a private jug on the sly, which was true. So I decided to leave before they give me a going-away party with tar and feathers.
well, old man, I reckon we might double team it. What do you think?
I ain't opposed to it. What's your line, mainly?
Oh, I do a little in patent medicines. Theater actor, tragedy mostly. Take a turn at hypnotism when there's a chance. Teach singing geography school for a change. Sling a lecture sometimes. Oh, I do a lot of things. Most anything that comes in handy, just so it ain't work. Well, what's your lay?
Well, I've done considerable in the doctrine way in my time. Laying on of hands is my best hope for cancer and paralysis and such things. I can tell a fortune pretty good when I got somebody along to find out the facts for me. Preaching's my line, too, and working revival meetings and missionarians.
Well, after these two rapscallions got through reciting all their lines of business, nobody never said anything for a while. But pretty soon the young man began to groan and sigh and look awful mournful.
What are you moaning about?
To think I should have lived to be leading such a life, to be degraded down to such company.
Well, ain't our company good enough for you?
Oh, I don't blame you, gentlemen. Far from it. I don't blame anybody. I deserve it all. Oh, that I should have been brought so low.
Drat it, what are you talking about?
Someday I'll lie down in my grave and forget my past, and my poor broken heart will be at rest.
Broken heart? What are you heaving your poor broken heart at us for? We ain't done nothing.
Oh, I ain't blaming you. I brought myself down, yes. I did it myself. It's right I should suffer. Perfectly right.
Brought down from where? Where was you brought down from?
You wouldn't believe me. Let it pass. It's no matter. The secret of my birth.
The secret of your birth? You mean to say...
Gentlemen, I will reveal the secret of my birth to you. By rights, I am a duke.
Why, blame my cats.
Wow! A duke!
Yes, my great-grandfather, eldest son of the Duke of Bridgewater, fled to this country years ago. I am the descendant of him. I am the rightful Duke of Bridgewater. And here I am, forlorn, fallen from my high estate, hunted by men, ragged, worn, heartbroken, despised by the cold world, degraded to the company of runaways on a raft.
What can we do for you, Duke?
We ain't never met up with any dukes before.
It's no use. I've fallen, and I know I'll never occupy my lofty position again. The world is cruel.
Ain't there anything we can do for you?
No, there's nothing you can do. But it would make me feel better if you would only recognize my former high estate.
What do you mean? How can we do it?
Well, you should bow when you address a duke. Say, Your Grace, or My Lord, or Your Lordship, or even plain Bridgewater.
Well, we done what the Duke said. All through dinner, Jim stood around and waited on him, and I called him by his title, and a body could see it was mighty pleasing to him. But the old man got pretty silent by and by, and appeared mighty troubled about all the attention the Duke was a-getting.
Looky here, Bilgewater. I'm mighty sorry for you, but you ain't the only person on this raft that's had trouble.
No?
No, you ain't. And you ain't the only person that's been snaked down wrongfully out of a high place. And you ain't the only person that's had a secret surrounding his birth.
Why, what do you mean?
Bilgewater, can I trust you?
To the bitter death?
Bilgewater, I am the late Dolphin.
You're what?
Yes, friends, it's too true. Your eyes is looking at this very moment on the poor, disappeared Dolphin. Louis the 17th, the son of Louis the 16th and Marie Antoinette.
Why, blame my cats. More royalty.
And I thought we didn't have no kings here.
Why, you must be well over 100 years old.
Trouble has done it, Bilgewater. Trouble has done it. Trouble has brung these gray hairs and this premature balditude. Yes, gentlemen, you see before you the wandering, exiled, trampled on and suffering rightful King of France.
Well, we tried to comfort him too, and started calling him Your Majesty, and waiting on him first. This done him heaps of good, and so he got cheerful and comfortable. But the Duke kind of soured on him, and didn't look a bit satisfied.
Why, your great-grandfather and all them other Dukes of Bilgewater was very friendly with my father. They was allowed to come to our palace considerable. Don't be sour, Bilgewater. Like as not, we got to be together a blame long time on this raft. It ain't my fault I weren't born a duke, and it ain't your fault you weren't born a king. So what's the use to worry? Come, give us your hand, Duke, and let's all be friends.
Well, all right.
The king and Duke, they made up, and it took away all the uncomfortableness, and we felt mighty good over it, 'cause it would have been a miserable business to have any unfriendliness on the raft. It didn't take me long to make up my mind that these liars weren't no kings nor dukes at all, but just low-down humbugs and frauds. But I never said nothing, never let on, but kept it to myself. It's the best way. Then you don't have no quarrels and don't get into no trouble. The king and duke wondered why we only traveled at night and hid up days. So I told them we was going down below New Orleans, and that Jim was my slave, and that I was taking him along with me to live with my Uncle Ben. I told him that since folks might get to thinking Jim was a runaway slave, we only traveled at night to avoid trouble. Well, they believed me and let the thing ride. They played a heap of cards, but got tired of that, and allowed they'd lay out a campaign, as they called it.
Well, Bilgewater, got any suggestions?
Let me see here.
You got quite a handful of posters there. What's this? The celebrated Dr. Armand de Montalban of Paris will lecture on the science of magic. Who's that, Bilgewater?
Why, that's me.
Here's another one. The world-renowned Shakespearean tragedian, Garrick the Younger of Drury Lane, London.
That's me also. Have you ever trod the boards, royalty?
I beg your pardon?
Have you ever acted on the stage?
No.
You shall then, before you're 3 days older, fallen grandeur. The first good town we come to, we'll hire a hall and do the sword fight in Richard III and the balcony scene in Romeo and Juliet. How does that strike you?
Well, I'm for anything that'll pay, but I don't know much about it. See, I was too small when Pap used to have plays at the palace in France. You reckon you can learn me?
Easy. Now, I usually do the part of Romeo, so you'll have to play Juliet.
Wasn't that just a young gal? My bald head and white whiskers gonna look uncommon odd on her, maybe.
Don't you worry. When you're in costume, that makes all the difference in the world. Besides, Juliet's in a balcony. Let's see. Here's your costume.
Well, the king was satisfied, so the Duke got out his book and read the parts over in a splendid way, prancing around and acting at the same time to show how it had to be done. Then he give the book to the king and told him to memorize his part. There was a little one-horse town about 3 miles down the bend, so me and the king and the Duke got in the canoe and went to look her over. The place was nearly deserted, 'cause everybody that warn't too young or too sick or too old was gone to a meeting about 2 miles back in the woods. It was a religious meeting. Well, the Duke stayed to get some printing done in town, but the king lowed he'd go and work that camp meeting for all it was worth, and I decided to go too. There was a big crowd at the meeting, and they was pretty well warmed up by the time we got there, with a preacher shouting and the people groaning and crying and saying,
Let me have an amen, sisters and brothers, amen. All come to the mourner's bench. I say, come, let what's in there. Come sick and sore, let me hear an amen there, brothers and sisters. Come lame and halt and blind. Come poor and needy. Sunk in shame. The doors of heaven stand open, sisters and brothers, let me hear amen.
Hallelujah!
Well, first I know the king got a going, and you could hear him over everybody. And next he went a-charging up onto the preacher's platform and began speaking to the crowd.
Brothers and sisters,
Standing before you is the blackest sinner of all. You're not going to believe me when I tell you. I'm a pirate. That's right, brothers and sisters, and I've been a pirate for 30 years out to the Indian Ocean. My pirate crew was thinned out considerable last spring in a fight. I was coming to take out some fresh men. Thanks to goodness, last night I was robbed and put ashore off a steamboat without a cent. But I'm glad of it now. It was the blessedest thing that ever happened to me, 'cause I'm a changed man and happy for the first time in my life. I'm poor now, brothers and sisters, but I'm a-going to start right off and work my way back to the Indian Ocean and put in the rest of my life trying to turn other pirates into the true path. And every time I convert a pirate, I'm a-going to say to him, don't you thank me? Don't you give me no credit? It all belongs to them dear people in Polkville and that dear preacher there. The truest friend a pirate ever had.
Good idea. Pass the hat.
Yes, collection over here. Yes, let him pass the hat.
So the king went all through the crowd with his hat, swabbing his eyes and blessing the people, and praising them too, and thanking them for being so good to the poor old pirates away off. People invited him to stay a week and live in their houses. But he told them he was in a great sweat to get to the Indian Ocean right off and go to work on the pirates. Well, when we got back to the raft and he come to count up, he found he had collected $87.75. The king said, take it all around, it laid over any day he'd ever put in the missionary line. Why, he said heathens don't amount to shucks alongside of pirates to work a camp meeting. Well, when the king and duke finished celebrating with their jug and fell asleep, Jim says,
Huck, do you reckon we's going to run across any more kings on this trip?
No, I reckon not.
Well, that's all right then. I don't mind 1 or 2 kings, but that's enough. This one's powerful drunk, and the duke ain't much better.
I found Jim had been trying to get the king to talk French so he could hear what it was like. But the king said he'd been in this country so long and had so much trouble, he'd forgot it. While the king was being a pirate at the camp meeting, the duke had been in town at the printing office, making up some more posters. One of them describing Jim as a runaway from down below New Orleans, saying there was a reward and expenses for his return. That way the duke said we could travel by day, and if anybody got curious about Jim, we'd just show him the poster and say we was taking him back. It seemed like a right smart idea. Well, the duke kept helping the king get ready for their big show, learning him over and over and over again how to say a Shakespeare.
Romeo.
Now you mustn't bellow out Romeo that way like a bull. Say it soft and sick and languishy. Romeo. You don't bray like a jackass.
Romeo.
That's better. Now let's practice a sword fight from Richard III. That always fetches the house.
This here raft's a mighty small stage.
Here's your sword.
Okay, Bilgewater. Now what do we do?
Well, the way they laid on and pranced around the raft was grand to see. But by and by, the king tripped and fell overboard.
I'm drowning.
One morning, when we was pretty well down the state of Arkansas, we come in sight of a little one-horse town in a big bend. The king and the duke reckoned this would be a good place for their show. We struck it mighty lucky. There was going to be a circus there that afternoon, and the country people was already beginning to come in. The duke, he hired the courthouse, and we went around and stuck up our posters. Then I went to the circus, which was the bulliest circus I ever did see. Well, that night we had our show, but there weren't only about 12 people there.
Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo?
Why, Juliet couldn't be less than 400 years old.
Why, I do believe this Juliet has a beard. Oh, Romeo.
With love, shall I hear more, or shall I speak at this?
We've heard enough. Let's get on with a sword fight. Romeo against Juliet.
The people laughed all the time, and that made the Duke mad. That night, after everybody left, except one boy which was asleep, the Duke come up with a new plan.
These Arkansas lunkheads can't come up to Shakespeare. What they want is low comedy or something else. I reckon
Well, what do you have in mind, Bilgewater?
we'll put on a show tomorrow that these folks won't ever forget. Here, give me some paper.
Well, the Duke made a handbill announcing the Royal Nonsuch. Admission 50 cents. Then at the bottom was the biggest line of all, which said, "Ladies and children not admitted."
There. If that line don't fetch 'em, I don't know Arkansas.
Well, it did fetch 'em, too. That place was plumb filled with men, and everybody expecting quite a show. The Duke, he gave a little speech and praised up this tragedy and told 'em all about Edmund Kean the Elder, which was the king. And finally he rolled up the curtain. By jingo! The next minute the king comes a-prancing out on all fours, naked as a jaybird. And he was painted all over, ring-streaked and spiked, all sorts of colors, and splendid as a rainbow. Oh, it was just wild but awful funny. The people most killed themselves laughing. He cavorted around that stage till it'd make a cow laugh to see the shines that old idiot cut. Then the curtain come down.
What? Is it over?
Is that all? We've been cheated!
Hold on, gentlemen. We are sold, mighty badly sold, but we don't want to be the laughing stock of this whole town.
He's right.
Now, let's leave here quiet-like and talk up this show and sell the rest of the town. Then we'll all be in the same boat. Ain't that sensible?
Bet it is. The judge is right.
All right, then, not a word about this evening. Go along home, tell everybody to come and see the Royal Nonsuch for themselves.
Next day, you couldn't hear nothing around that town but how splendid that show was. And the next night, the house was just packed again, fuller'n a tick. And the same thing happened. Well, the third night, the house was crammed again. But they weren't newcomers this time, but people that was at the show the other 2 nights. And I see that every man that went in had his pockets bulging or something hidden under his coat. And I see it weren't no perfumery neither. Wow! Whew! I smelt rotten eggs by the barrel, and spoiled cabbages and such things. And if I know the signs of a dead cat, there was 64 of them that went in. And I knew that the king was really going to get it. When the place couldn't hold no more people, the Duke started around for the stage door. I after him. But the minute we turned the corner and was in the dark, he says,
Walk fast now till you get away from the houses, and then shin for the raft like the Dickens was after you.
"But what about the poor king? I reckon he's in for a pretty rough time of it."
Don't you worry about the king. Now you just skedaddle.
Well, I ran like everything and got to the raft at about the same time as the Duke. And we jumped aboard and lit out for the big water. gliding downstream, nobody saying a word. I was feeling pretty sorry for the king, when all of a sudden he crawls out from the wigwam.
Well, how'd the old thing pan out this time, Bilgewater?
Why, you weren't in town at all.
Nope.
Those greenhorns. I knew the first crowd would keep mum and let the rest of the town get roped in. And I knew that they'd lay for us tonight and considered it was their turn now. Well, it is their turn, and I'm mighty sorry we couldn't be there for the picnic. They brought plenty of provisions.
Huckleberry Huck and his friend Jim met up with a pair of travelers, very crafty men. One of them said he's a duke, the other king of France. But who would think a king would dance the royal nonsuch dance?
Them rapscallions took in $465 in those 3 nights. I never see money hauled in by the wagon load like that before. By and by, when they was asleep and snoring, Jim says,
Don't it surprise you the way them kings carries on, Huck?
Nah, it don't, Jim.
It don't? How come, Huck?
Well, it don't, 'cause it's in the breed. I reckon they're all alike.
But these kings of ours is regular rapscallions. That's just what they is. They's regular rapscallions.
Well, that's what I'm a-saying. All kings is mostly rapscallions, as far as I can make out.
Is that so?
Well, you read about 'em once, you'll see. Look at Henry VIII. Why, this'n of ours is a Sunday school superintendent compared to Henry. You ought to seen old Henry VIII when he was in bloom. He was a blossom. He used to marry a new wife every day and chop off her head next morning. And he'd do it just as indifferent as if he was ordering up eggs. That's the kind of a bug Henry was. And if we'd have had him aboard instead of our king, Henry would have done worse than just fool that town. All I say is, kings is kings, and you gotta make allowances. Take 'em all around. They're a mighty ornery lot. It's the way they're raised.
But this king do smell so, Huck.
Well, they all do, Jim. Oh, we can't help the way a king smells. History don't tell no way.
And this Duke, he's a roughin' too.
When he's drunk, there ain't no nearsighted man could tell him from a king.
Well, I don't hanker for no more of 'em, Huck. These two is all I can stand.
I felt the same way as Jim. Oh, what was the use to tell Jim these weren't real kings and dukes? It wouldn't have done no good. Besides, it was just as I said. You couldn't tell him from the real ones. By this time, I somehow got to talking to Jim about his wife and young'uns, who were still in slavery.
Sometimes, Huck, I gets to thinking about the time I treated my little Elizabeth so ornery. She was only about 4 years old and got the scarlet fever and had a powerful rough spell. One day when she was better, she was standing around and I says to her, "Shut the door." She never done it. She just stood there, kind of smiling up at me. Made me so mad, and I says again, mighty loud, "Shut the door." But she just kept on a smiling, and I was aboard, and I says, "I'll lay I'll make you mine." And I fetched her a slap side the head that sent her sprawling. I left room in a huff, and when I come back, she was crying. But there was that door standing open yet. My, but I was mad. I was just going to grab that child. But just then, a wind come in and slam it to, behind the child. Kablam! And that child never moved. Oh, Huck, my breath most hop out of me. I sneaked around behind the child, soft and still, and all of a sudden I said, "Pow!" Oh, Lordy, Huck.
I bust out crying and grab her up in my arms and say, "Oh, you poor little thing. Forgive your old daddy." But she was plumb deaf and dumb, Huck. Plumb deaf and dumb. And I'd been treating her so.
We had all bought store clothes where we stopped last. I never knowed how clothes could change a body before. Why, the king, he looked like the orneriest old rip that ever was. But now, when he'd take off his new white beaver hat and make a bow and do a smile, he looked so grand and good and pious that you dare say he walked right out of the ark. And maybe he was old Leviticus himself.
Seeing how I'm dressed, I reckon we better arrive at the next town on a steamboat.
How about trying the Royal Nonesuch again?
I judge it wouldn't be safe. News of our last performance might have come down the river by this time. Let's just trust to Providence.
Yeah.
Go for the steamboat, Huckleberry.
I didn't have to be ordered twice to go and take a steamboat ride. So the king and me left to look over the town. A little ways above the village, we tied up and waited for a steamboat. While we was just lazying round, along come a nice, innocent-looking young country Jake with a couple of big carpet bags.
Where you bound for, young man?
Oh, for the steamboat. Going to New Orleans.
Well, get aboard. We're going for her, too, as soon as she comes by. Hold on a minute. My servant will help you with them bags. Jump out and help the gentleman, Adolphus.
Well, the king meant me, of course. And I knew that old fraud was up to something. But I didn't mind being Adolphus for a while. I wasn't particular.
When I first see you, I says to myself, why, it's Mr. Wilkes, sure. But he didn't come here in time. You ain't him, are you?
No, I ain't. But who's Wilkes?
Well, folks is a-looking for Harvey Wilkes. But his brother, Peter, died yesterday. Old Peter sent for him when he first took ill a month or two ago. But his brother didn't get here in time.
Oh, that's a shame. Where does Harvey live, anyhow?
Oh, he lives in England. He's a preacher there. But everybody thought he'd come. Him and his younger brother, William. That's a deaf and dumb one. But he's younger, and old Peter never seen him before. Folks is still expecting him, I reckon.
Are there any other relations, or just Harvey and William in England?
Oh, only 3 nieces, the daughters of another brother who died here a few years back. The girls live with old Peter.
Poor things, to be left alone in a cold world now.
Old Wilkes was pretty well off. Them girls will be took care of. He had a lot of cash hid up somewheres.
When did you say the funeral was?
Well, I didn't say, but it'll be tomorrow about the middle of the day.
Well, when the steamboat come along, we struck out for her. But we didn't get aboard, only gave the young fellow a lift. I knew the king was up to something, the way he kept a-pumping that young man. Why, he went on asking questions till he just fairly emptied that young fella, finding out all about old Peter Wilkes, and about his brothers from England, and about the nieces and the townspeople. When the fella come aboard, the king told me to light out for where the Duke and Jim was, and I done it.
Listen here, Baleswater. There's an opportunity in this town just a-waiting for us. How are you on the deaf and dumb?
Why, I believe I can do a tolerable job.
Well, there's a rich man up yonder what's died, and they're all expecting 2 brothers from England. An older brother, Harvey, which is me, and the deaf and dumb younger brother, which is you.
Well, fill me in, Brother Harvey.
So, the king told him everything, just like the young fella had said it, every last word of it. And the king began to talk like an Englishman. And he done it pretty well, too, for a slouch. Later in the afternoon, their campaign was all planned, and we hailed a big steamboat that was a-comin' from Cincinnati, and rode into town in style. When we got ashore, about 24 men flocked around us. Being the only passengers to come ashore there, the king spoke to one.
I say, can any of you gentlemen tell me where Mr. Peter Wilkes lives?
Sorry, sir, but the best we can do is tell you where he did live yesterday.
Alas, our poor brother gone. And we never got to see him. Oh, it's too hard.
Then the king turns around blubbering and makes a lot of idiotic signs to the Duke with his hands, and blamed if he didn't drop a carpetbag and bust out a-crying. If they weren't the beatin'est lot, them two frauds, that I ever struck. When we got to the house, the three girls were standing in the door. Mary Jane was the oldest and red-headed, but that don't make no difference. She was most awful beautiful, and her face and her eyes was all lit up like glory. She was so glad her uncles was come.
Oh, Uncle, you've come.
Bless you, dear girls, you poor, lonesome little lambs.
Uncle Harvey. Uncle Willie.
Yes, this is your poor uncle's come too late. Oh, there lies our poor, cold brother.
Quiet, everybody.
Well, the king and the Duke made for the coffin and took one sight. And then they bust out a-crying so you could have heard 'em to New Orleans most. Oh, they went to blubbering for 3, maybe 4 minutes. I never see 2 men leak that way before. And mind you, everybody was doing the same. The place was just damp with folks a-sobbing and swabbing their eyes. I never see anything so disgusting. Finally, the king, he gets up and works himself up and slobbers out a speech, all full of tears and flapdood.
Forgive us, dear friends, for carrying on so, but this has been a sore trial for me and my poor deaf and dumb brother. After coming 4,000 miles and then missing our dear brother alive. But our tribulations has been sweetened and sanctified to us by your dear sympathy and these holy tears. Amen.
The king, he kept up the slush and rot till it was just sickening, until somebody started up the music.
There's a land that is fairer than day, and by faith we may see it afar, and the Father will show us the way to prepare us a dwelling place there, in the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore.
After all that soul butter and hogwash, the music sort of freshened up things, sounding honest and bully. Well, the king shook hands with everybody, getting to know all the friends of poor dead Peter, and making a pretty good show of it. And the Duke was a goo-gooing all the time like a baby. Finally, Mary Jane fetched a letter her uncle had left behind, which was sort of a will. It give the house and $3,000 in gold to the girls, along with a business and other property, and another $3,000 in gold to Harvey and William. And it told where the whole kit and caboodle was hid down the cellar. Well, the 2 frauds went to fetch it, and I went along down to hold a candle.
Well, I'll be switched. Here's the gold right where the letter said.
Look at the gold.
Why, Bilgewater, it beats the Royal Nonsuch, don't it?
Oh, indeed it does. Things is getting better and better.
Being brothers to a rich dead man and foreigners who are heirs to his fortune is a line for me and you, Bilge.
Most everybody would have been satisfied with a pile and took it on trust. But no, they had to count it. So they counts it. And blame my cats if it didn't come out $415 short.
Darn that Peter. I wonder what he done with that $415.
Well, he was a pretty sick man, and likely he just made a mistake. The best way is to let it go and keep still about it. We can spare it.
Oh, shucks, yes, we can spare it. What I'm saying is folks might get suspicious if the full amount ain't there. We ought to lug this here money upstairs and count it before everybody. But when the dead man says there's $6,000 stowed away, there better be the full amount.
Hold on. Let's make up the deficit from the take we made on the Royal Nonsuch.
Why, Bilgewater, you have got a rattling clever head on you.
Say, I got another idea. Let's go upstairs and count this money, and then take and give it to the girls.
Good lad, Duke, let me hug you. It's the most dazzling idea that ever a man struck. It's the bulliest scheme yet. Let 'em fetch along their suspicions now if they want to. This'll lay 'em out sure.
You bet.
When we got upstairs, everybody gathered around the table, and the king counted it and stacked it up in piles, all gold coins. Everybody looked hungry at it and licked their chops. Then the king began to swell himself up for another speech.
Friends all, our poor brother, what lays yonder, has done generous by them that's left behind in the vale of sorrows. And he's done generous to these here poor little lambs, his nieces. And we that knowed him knows that he would have done more for 'em, except he wanted to do right by his two distant brothers, poor deaf and dumb William and me. But what kind of uncles would we be that'd rob, yes, rob, such poor sweet lambs as these? Now, I think I know what William would want me to do with his portion of the money. Well, I'll just ask him.
The king, he turns around and begins to make a lot of signs to the Duke with his hands. And the Duke, he looks at him, stupid and leather-headed a while. Then, all of a sudden, he seems to catch his meaning and jumps for the king, goo-gooing with all his might for joy, and hugs him about 15 times before he lets up.
I knowed it. I reckon that'll convince anybody the way Brother William feels about it. Here, Mary Jane, Susan, Joanna, take the money. Take it all. It's a gift to him that lays yonder, cold but joyful.
Well, if that didn't convince everybody, nothing would. Everybody crowded up with tears in their eyes and shook the hands off of them two frauds.
You dear good soul.
How lovely.
How could you?
Well, just then, in walks Doc Robinson and the Reverend Hobson, two friends of the family who'd been uptown. The doctor was shipping a sick man to the other world, and the preacher was pointing him right. They listened to the king for a minute, and then started to laugh.
Why, Doctor, ain't you heard the news? This is Harvey Wilkes, Peter's brother from England.
Is this my poor brother's dear good friend and physician? I'm mighty pleased.
Keep your hands off me. You talk like an Englishman, don't you? It's the worst imitation I ever heard. You, Peter Wilkes's brother, you're a fraud, that's what you are.
Now, Doctor, he's Harvey for sure. He knows everybody in town, just like Peter wrote to him in England.
Mary Jane, I was your father's friend, and an honest one that wants to protect you. This man's the thinnest kind of impostor. Come in here with a lot of empty names and facts which he picked up somewheres. Now listen to me. Turn this pitiful rascal out, I beg you.
Here's my answer. Take this money, Uncle Harvey, and keep it for me and my sisters. And don't give us no receipt for it. I trust you.
Good for you.
That's right.
Good for you.
All right. I wash my hands of the matter. But I warn you all, there are times a-comin' when you're going to feel sick whenever you think of the day you believed this impostor.
Well, all right, Doctor. We'll try and get 'em to send for you when we're sick. Only we hope you won't cure us the way you do some of your patients.
That night there was a big supper, and all the close friends was there. And I stood behind the king's and the duke's chairs and waited on 'em, and the servants waited on the rest. Mary Jane said how bad the biscuits was, and how mean the preserves was, and how ornery and tough the fried chicken was, and all that kind of rot, the way women always do to force out compliments. And the people all knowed everything was tip-top and said so. Afterwards, when I ate out in the kitchen, the youngest sister, Joanna, got to pumping me all about England.
Did you ever see the king?
Well, I bet I have. He goes to our church.
What, regular?
Sure. His pew's right over opposite ourn, on t'other side of the pulpit.
I thought the king lived in London.
Well, he does. Where would he live?
But I thought you lived in Sheffield with Uncle Harvey.
Well, I see I was up a stump. I had to let on to get choked with a chicken bone so's to get time to think how to get down again. Well, the king only goes to our church regular when he's in Sheffield, in the summertime, when he comes there to take the sea baths.
Why, how you talk. Sheffield ain't on the sea.
Well, who said it was?
Why, you did.
No, I didn't.
Well, what did you say then?
I said he comes to take the sea baths. That's what I said.
Well, then how's he going to take the sea baths if it ain't on the sea? You answer me that.
Looky here. Did you ever see any mountain spring water?
Sure.
Well, did you have to go to the mountains to get it?
Well, no.
Well, the king doesn't have to go to the sea to get a sea bath. They fetch it to him in barrels.
Oh. Do you go to church, too?
You bet. Regular.
Where do you sit?
Why, in our pew, of course.
Whose pew?
Why, our'n. Your Uncle Harvey's.
What does he want with a pew?
Why, he wants to sit in it. What do you reckon he wanted with it?
Why, I thought he'd be at the pulpit a-preaching.
I see I was up a stump again. I plumb forgot that old phony was supposed to be a preacher. So I got to choking again and got another think. Why, blame it. Do you suppose there ain't but one preacher to a church?
What do they want with more?
Well, to preach before a king, naturally. They don't have no less than 17.
17? My land, why? I wouldn't sit through such a string of sermons as that. Not if I never got to glory. Well, it must take 'em a week to wind up the service.
Oh, shucks, they don't all of them preach the same day. Only one of them.
Then why do they have so many?
Why, they're for style.
Now, why are you talking this boy's leg off, Joanna? Well, he's told some stretchers, I reckon, and I can't swallow 'em all. Joanna, it don't make no difference what he said. That ain't the thing. The thing is for you to treat him kind. Remember, he ain't in his own country and amongst his own folks.
Well, Joanna, she asked my pardon, and she done it beautiful. She done it so beautiful, it was good to hear. And I wished I could tell her 1,000 lies so she could do it over again. Then I says to myself, these are the girls that I'm letting that old reptile rob of their money. I felt so ornery and low down and mean that I decided to rescue that money for them or bust. Well, I went up to the king's room and started to paw around, scared to light a candle. About that time, I hears their footsteps, so I jumped in behind some frocks a-hanging in the closet and listened.
Well, what is it, Bilgewater? We shouldn't stay away from the family long.
Well, I ain't comfortable. That doctor might make trouble for us. I think we better skip out of here early in the morning.
What? And not sell out the rest of the property? Why, we can make a killing here if we just sit tight, play our cards out right.
Oh, let's let well enough alone. There's enough gold for us. We don't need to rob a lot of orphans of everything they got.
Why, how you talk. Where you been? Listening to the parson?
Well, all right. We'll stay. But it seems blamed foolishness with that doctor ready to stir up trouble.
Cuss the doctor! What do we care for him? Ain't we got all the fools in town on our side? And ain't that a big enough majority in any town?
Maybe you're right. But I don't think we put the money in a good place.
What do you mean?
Well, we hid it in amongst these old clothes, and like as not they'll be boxing 'em up to put 'em away.
You're right, Bilgewater. Let's stick it inside this straw mattress under the feather bed. They never turn it over but about twice a year.
Hurry it up. Let's go downstairs.
There. Come on.
Well, that makes me feel better.
Well, I felt better too. Before they was halfway downstairs, I had snaked a bag of gold out of the mattress and went up to the cubby where I was a-sleepin'. I was in a sweat to get done with the business. So, when the king and duke come up and went to bed, I slipped down the ladder with the gold. I was just passing the parlor where the corpse was a-lying when, drat it, somebody started down the stairs. I darted into where old Peter was stretched out, looking for a place to stash the gold, and the only place I see to hide the bag was in the coffin. So I tucked the money in under the lid, just down below where his hands was crossed and out of sight. Then I walked out real slow and mournful.
Oh, it's you, Adolphus.
Good evening, Mary Jane. I was just paying my last respects to your dear uncle.
Why, that was mighty thoughtful of you.
Well, good night, ma'am.
Good night, Adolphus, and thank you ever so much.
The next day they held the funeral. There was a lot more slobbering and nose-blowing, and they had borrowed a melodeon, a sick one. And when everything was ready, a young woman sat down and worked it. Oh, it was pretty squeaky and colicky, and everybody joined in and sung. And Peter was the only one that had a good thing, according to my notion. I was in a sweat through the whole thing, wondering if anybody'd find that bag of gold laying there in the coffin. But nobody did. And afterwards, they buried old Peter, gold and all. Well, the next day, the king and duke come up in the cubby and woke me up. And I see by their look that they had missed the gold.
Wake up, you! Was you in my room night before last?
No, your majesty.
Was you in there yesterday or last night?
No, I weren't.
Have you seen anybody else go in there?
No, your grace. Not as I remember.
Stop and think.
Well, I see some of the slaves go in there several times.
When was that?
Why, the day of the funeral.
Well, go on. Go on. What did they do?
Well, they didn't do nothing. I figured they was just going to straighten your room and found you still sleeping, so they slid out without waking you up.
Great guns!
Hey, is anything the matter?
That ain't none of your business. You just keep still.
We got to just swallow it and say nothing until we find out who took it. I told you we should have lit out early yesterday morning.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
I see I had to act fast. I reckon a body that ups and tells the truth when he's in a tight place is taking considerable many risks. But I had to do it. So I slipped in to see Miss Mary Jane. Miss Mary Jane, I just got to talk to you. It's real important.
What is it, Adolphus?
Now, don't you holler. Just sit still and take it like a man. I gotta tell the truth, and you want to brace up, Miss Mary, 'cause it's a bad kind and gonna be hard to take.
Well, goodness sakes alive, what is it?
Well, these uncles of yourn ain't no uncles at all. They're a couple of frauds, regular deadbeats. There now, we're over the worst of it. You can stand the rest middlin' easy. I told her every blame thing, from where we first struck that young fool going for the steamboat, right up to when we met the family on the front porch. Finally, she jumps up with her face afire like sunset.
The brutes! Don't waste a minute. We'll have 'em tarred and feathered and flung in the river.
Just hold on. It's a rough gang, and there's another person hiding downriver that you don't know about. Him and me'd be in considerable trouble unless we can get loose of these frauds.
Well, what are we going to do?
Well, you slip out of town for the day and visit some friends and give me time to work things out and get away.
But if you're gone, how can we prove those rascals is frauds?
Oh, I could swear there was beats and bummers, but there's others can do better than what I can. Give me a pencil and a piece of paper. There. Royal Nonsuch, Bricksville. If you want witnesses about these rapscallions, send up to Bricksville and say you've got the man that played the Royal Nonsuch. You'll have the entire town down here for you can hardly wink, and they'll come a-boiling, too.
Well, I'll go over and spend the day with the Lothrops.
Good. There's one more thing, that bag of money.
Well, they've got that, and it makes me feel pretty silly to remember that I gave it to them.
Well, they hain't got it.
Why, who's got it?
I had it, because I stole it away from them. But then I hid it.
Where?
Well, I'd rather not tell you where I put it. Not just yet. But I'll write it down for you on a piece of paper. And you can read it when you get back and I'm gone. So I wrote on a paper. I put it in the coffin. I folded it up and give it to her. And I see the water come into her eyes and she says,
"Oh, goodbye. I shan't ever forget you. And if I don't ever see you again, I'll think of you many and many a time. And I'll pray for you, too."
Well, she lit out and was gone. Pray for me. I reckoned if she knowed me, she'd take a job that was more nearer her size. In my opinion, she had more sand in her than any girl I ever see. In my opinion, she was just full of sand. Sounds like flattery, but it ain't. It's the truth. The king and the duke bluffed their way along throughout the public auction, selling everything that belonged to poor dead Peter Wilkes. Well, whilst they was at it, I'll be ding-busted if a steamboat didn't land with the two real brothers, who come with a crowd a-whooping and yelling and laughing, wondering now which was the real brothers and which was scoundrels. They was fetching a very nice-looking old gentleman along, and a younger one, with his right arm in a sling. And the old fella, he said he was Harvey Wilkes, and that the young man with him was William. Well, now, we had 2 sets of heirs from England, and I calculated it was going to get pretty rough for our gang. Everybody went down to the tavern, and they sailed in on the general investigation. And it was the worst mixed-up thing you'll ever see.
Let's have 'em write something down. We got some letters from the English Wilkes, ain't we?
Good idea, Levi. That'll fix it.
Here's some paper and a pen.
Here. Each of you write a line or two and sign your name. Now we'll find out which is the real Harvey and William.
Okay. There you are. Here's my note. This is William's.
The king, he waltzed through without batting an eye, gazing down sorrowful on them newcomers, like it'd give him the stomachache to think there could be such frauds and rascals in the world. And the duke, he went a-goo-gooing around happy and satisfied, like a jug that was googling out buttermilk. Well, they all wrote, except one of the newcomers, who had his arm in a sling, and gave the notes to the lawyer.
Well, it beats me. These old letters is from Harvey Wilkes, and none of these notes written by these 3 gentlemen matches 'em.
If you please, let me explain. No one can read my handwriting but my brother there, so he copies all for me. All of my letters are copied in his handwriting.
Well, get him to write a line or two so we can compare.
He can't write with his left hand, and he's injured his right one.
Now, isn't that convenient?
I've thought of something. Is there anybody here that helped lay out the late Peter Wilkes for the burying?
Yeah, me and Ab Turner done it. We're both here.
Well, then, the real brothers should be able to tell what was tattooed on his chest. Do you know, sir?
Well, the man was talking straight to the king, and I says to myself, now he'll throw up the sponge. There ain't no more use. But the king didn't. He was the gall-darndest fraud you ever see.
It's a very tough question, ain't it?
Yes, sir. I can tell you what's tattooed on his chest. It's just a small, thin blue arrow. That's what it is, but if you don't look close, you can't see it. Now, what do you say, eh?
There. You heard what he said. Was there any such mark on Peter Wilkes' chest?
We didn't see no such mark.
I didn't see it.
Good. Now, what you did see on his chest was a small P, and a B, and a W, his initials. Come, isn't that what you saw?
No, we didn't.
We never saw any marks at all.
The whole mess of 'em is frauds.
Let's ride 'em on a rail.
Let's give him a ducking.
Listen, there's only one way to get this straightened out. Let's go and dig up poor old Peter and look.
Good. All right. Yeah, let's do it.
Well, we swarmed along down the river road to the graveyard, and they was carrying on like wildcats. And to make it more scary, the sky was darking up, and the lightning was beginning to wink and flitter. When they got to the grave, they found they had about 100 times as many shovels as they wanted. But nobody hadn't thought to fetch a lantern. They sent for one and started in digging anyway. Finally, they dug old Peter up and was about to look for that tattoo, when all of a sudden the lightning let go a perfect sluice of white glare, and somebody sing out,
By the living jingo, here's a bag of gold on his chest.
Well, the man who was holding my arm, he let out a whoop, like everybody else, and dropped my wrist. There warn't time to swap knives. The way I lit out and shinned for the road in the dark, there ain't nobody can tell. Well, I skipped through town and made for the river and begun to look sharp for a boat to borrow. I found a canoe that wasn't chained and untied her and struck for the place where Jim was a-hiding. Out with you, Jim, and set the raft loose. Glory be to goodness, we're shut of 'em.
Lordy, Huck, it's you. Come at last.
Cut loose and let her slide, Jim.
What's going on, Huck? Where's the royalty?
I'll tell you later. Just get a humpin'. I was jumping around for joy, happy to be free again and safe, when I noticed a sound that I knowed mighty well. Sure enough, when the next flash busted out over the water, here they come, and just a-layin' to their oars and making their boat hum. It was the king and the duke. Well, it was all I could do to keep from crying.